Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Mythgard and Middle-earth. My name is Corey Olson, the Tolkien Professor, here with you as always, and joined as always by my friend Grifflet. Hi, Grifflet. What are you doing out here? Oh, right. You're at the Black Pool. You decided to come out and breathe the fresh air here for a little bit. We last saw you up by the the corpse of Durin's Bane, which was pretty spectacular. And now here you are daring the Watcher in the Water to leap out behind your back again, standing with your back pointedly to the pool, which is relatively intrepid, Grifflet, but that's okay. So Grifflet and I had a realization this past week, and that is, of course, in all of the excitement leading up to the Grifflet Marathon, which we did almost 2 weeks ago now. Those of you who have been paying attention, of course, will remember that not only did we do the 14-hour marathon on that Saturday 2 weeks ago, tomorrow, but we also did like 7 hours of streaming the week before to make sure that Griffith was in place and ready to begin his quest through Moria at the beginning of the marathon. And in our rush to go straight from the departure of the Fellowship from Rivendell to the entrance, the beginning of the prologue, the meeting with the Iron Garrison and everything else, Grifflet completely skipped Eregion. Like, not only did he not do the quests in Eregion, he skipped the region. He was just ported into the gateway where he entered into the Iron Garrison area, the outskirts of Moria, and that's just we can't have that. We skipped a whole bunch of stuff in Eregion. So since Grifflet is in, I need to gain a few levels anyway before I head on out into the Dimrill Dale and on towards Lothlorien mode. We can't not. So I wanted to go back and revisit Eregion before Grifflet is too high level even to enjoy that. So that's what we're gonna do today. So that's why we came back all the way. We trekked all the way back across Moria. It took forever. Well, okay, actually it didn't take forever, but anyway, we did it anyhow. And here we are outside the gates. One other quick thing that I would say is my normal communications devices are not functioning properly here today. So for those Fairvenon, who so often helps with my lore questions and stuff, Fairvenon, I'm gonna have to just try to watch the feed today, the regular chat feed. So I'll do the best I can there. But please do, if you have lore questions, if there's a question that you have, either just straight up a question about the books that you would like to ask about, or if there's something related to something I'm looking at in the game or something like that, or a very game specific question, feel free to ask. For those of you who missed it, yesterday afternoon was super fun. So I mentioned this last week, but I finally got to meet Maid of Lions, Jeffrey Libby from Turbine, and the guy who wrote the epic quest lines. And he and I I met him once briefly when I was down at Turbine, but we never really got a chance to talk. So that was the first time I've been able to sit down with him, and we had a great time. My only complaint was that our time was so brief. We only ended up with 1 hour, which for me is like I barely even got warmed up in an hour. So anyway, that was I certainly hope we'll get to do that again. For those of you who missed it, it was recorded. We'll be posting that. We should be posting that today, the recording of that, to the Signum University YouTube stream. So if you go if you search for Signum University on YouTube, you'll find our Signum channel. That's, of course, I post all of the recordings of my Grifflet videos there. These Grifflet streams are all there, as well as recordings of the Mythgard Adventures that we do on every other Tuesday. It's sort of a semi-kin event. It starts at the Mythgard Kin House, but of course we include anyone from any kin is welcome to join us. We've been doing instance. So we've been sort of alternating back and forth on our alternate Tuesdays. We've been alternating back and forth between following the bingo quest chain, which I'd never done, So we have bingo night, and then we do sort of different instances. We were doing skirmishes for a while. We did all the skirmishes, and we finished all the skirmishes, and now we started the In Their Absence quest chain, which we're almost done with. We have the last section of the final raid of the In Their Absence quest chain that we're gonna do. Well, we just did the second to last one a couple days ago, so we'll do it in like 4 weeks from tonight. So anyway, so those videos are all there as well. So you'll be able to find, as I say, the interview between me and Maid of Lions, and actually Chris Pearson joined us as well. So I had both Chris Pearson and Jeffrey Libby on the line and asking them about sort of their process and talking about their adaptation and stuff. It was really neat. So anyway, I was super excited for that. We had sort of a major geek fest yesterday. It was great, and I'm looking forward. I hope to being able to do that again sometime soon. I'm kind of thinking I'd like to, if they're willing, I'd like to make that a kind of a regular thing. Especially as there were a whole bunch of things, because I haven't finished the epic quest line yet. Of course, my highest character is only level 76, so I'm still in volume 3 of the epic quest line, and where am I going, you may ask? I'm just kind of wandering around, right? I missed the road. It's like, hey, look, I found the red circle. That's cool. Anyway, I'm headed up to Gwingris because I want to start some of the quest chains from up there. So that's where I'm going ultimately. And Griffith's never been there, so I can't do the automatic horse. So I gotta off-road it here, getting up there. So anyhow, okay. But as I said, I hope I'll be able to do that again. I hope that Jeff will be willing to come back and talk to me again. I'd love to have a conversation with him when I finish Volume 3, which should actually be not too... Well, okay, I don't even know how long it's going to be. I think I've got to get all the way through Rohan, right? So probably I have quite some time still ahead of me before that. I've not even yet entered Rohan or gotten my war steed, so that'll be fun. Anyway... and then maybe when they do future updates and stuff, we can talk with him again. So, there's the road north. That's kind of the vague direction I should be heading, right? Vaguely northish. Yeah, that'll work. So okay. So as I say, that was a lot of fun. That just happened yesterday afternoon. And we'll get the video of that posted soon. Okay, wait. I'm seeing. Look at this. See, Verifan, and look. I'm watching the. Thank you for flagging it in all caps there. A lore question. So let me pause in my announcements schema here. To answer this lore question. Fairvenin says, the fat aspect of Bomber's characterization in The Hobbit always seems mean to me. What are my thoughts about that? The main thing that I would say about that, I mean, more than anything else, that seems to me mostly a sort of a cultural thing. That was quite common. Like, fat jokes were funny. People were not very sensitive about that. I mean, you think about the number of times fatness is played for fun, for jokes, right? In Tolkien, not just Bomber in The Hobbit, of course, is one major example of that, obviously. But he's far from the only one, right? I mean, even down to the nickname of Fatty Bulger, right? Or to even think of like the sort of the casual fat jokes that Butterbur makes at his own expense, right? It's like different times and different sensitivities in part. I mean, and it's not uncommon. You see a lot of those that kind of humor. Like fat jokes were sort of in. Everybody kind of accepted that as funny. You read a lot of early 20th century works and you see that. The sort of increasing sensitivity. Am I going in the right direction? Yes, vaguely. So the increasing sensitivity to to obesity and the different ways that we think about that. It's a fairly common kind of cultural shift that we see. I mean, you look back and you look at ways in which drunkenness was treated, at various points. Just using that word, drunkenness. Um, People didn't talk about alcoholism in the same way that we do and think about it. So, I mean, and frankly, to choose an even more modern example, an even more recent example. There were no when I was a kid, video games had been invented, and I spent as much of my time as I could playing video games, though it wasn't nearly as much as I wanted, because my mom wouldn't buy me an Atari. But anyway, I make sure I'm not. Yes, I am in fact going the wrong way, so that's cool. Yeah, how about we not do that? This road junction here always seems a little more complicated than it needs to be. You ever notice that? Anyway, so anyhow, so my mom wouldn't buy me an Atari, so I didn't have one. But if I did, I would have spent as much time as I could playing it. And although my mother would probably have rather that I spent my time playing outside, nobody would have been talking about limiting my screen time, right, for the sake of my neurological development. It's just people think about things differently. These are whether the change comes from just a sort of a shift in cultural sensitivities or sympathies, or whether it comes from different sort of advances or changes in medical theories and understandings or whatever. It's just kind of a thing that happens. And so in this way, I think the fat jokes that you see in Tolkien's books are one of the ways in which you can see, Tolkien is sort of a person of his times. And I really think that that's one of the really clear places where we can see that. And it's kind of a small thing in its way, but it's kind of interesting also because, there's a tendency, I think, for a lot of Tolkien fans to sort of think about Tolkien in one of two ways, to either sort of think of Tolkien and Tolkien's books as kind of timeless, right? Since Tolkien's books were kind of weird, they weren't sort of your standard 20th century literature fare, right? They didn't exactly fit in with the modern era. And so it's kind of tempting in some ways, I think, for Tolkien readers to think of Tolkien as kind of put him in a chronological bubble, right? As if he's not, as if The Lord of the Rings were not an example of, a piece of early 20th century fiction, right? As if it kind of were outside the stream, the cultural stream in that way. And he's not. I mean, yeah, it's different. His values were quite different, and I don't mean his moral values. I mean his literary values. What he was trying to do in writing a story and telling a story was very different from what most of his contemporaries were doing. And yet, it's not. It is in fact still a 20th century work, and there are these markers that you can see, and it's in that way I think is actually, I find it kind of an interesting reminder of that. The other thing, of course, that people will, if they don't think Tolkien timeless, will sort of associate him with the Middle Ages, which is, of course, perfectly appropriate in one sense. That is to say, it's totally. I mean, it's perfectly right to say that his own writing tended to kind of follow the sort of the spirit or the literary concept of medieval literature more than modern literature in some ways, but only in some ways, right? Not really in all ways. And again, I think it's good to be reminded of that. A lot of Tolkien studies, the academic Tolkien work lately has been sort of focused on contextualizing Tolkien within his 20th century context, and I think it's important to remember. Anyway, okay. So I don't know if that's a very satisfying answer to the fat jokes question, and I know it they can be uncomfortable from a modern perspective. But again, it's kind of the way it is. All right, I'm looking. Where's the guy? Where's what's he? Mydlathron. That's who I'm looking for. Where is that person? Hi, yeah, everybody. I'm looking for a particular elf who has this quest that I want to run. Is he up here? Where is he? Not up here. There's anybody up here. Although, what did this used to be, do you think? And do you think there used to be glass in there? Right? Were these glazed, do you think? Do you think what we have here is like this sort of metallic frames, right? These ornate metallic frames in these arches, and that they used to be set in glass, but the glass is broken? Because if it wasn't glass, then how'd that work? Was there like a, I don't know, like a screen? It can't have just been open, right? Because, I mean, you look up, some of them are clearly like that. Domes, not like the underside of my horse, thank you, but like I love that particular view. But here, right? I mean, this is clearly the underside of an arch. I mean, so presumably when this building was fully functional, it had an actual ceiling here, right? Like rain didn't just fall straight through into the building. So you got to think there must have been glass in there or something like that. Anyway, let's see. Where's what's his face? Where is he? It's not this guy, right? I'm pretty sure it's not this guy. Hey, what quests do you have? No, I don't want to defeat worms. Thanks. I know, clearing the path to Rivendell is a no... Oh, they're right next to the... Okay. Like the guy standing immediately next to the stable master. He was standing self-effacingly behind the stable master, which is why Griffith didn't see him at first. Hey there, Mydlathron. Greetings. Hi. Yeah. You and your companions are recently come from Rivendell at the behest of Master Elrond. Oh, goody. He fears that spies of the enemy may dog the footsteps of the company which left Imladris some little while ago. The company which bears a heavy burden. Right. I'm with you. Right. I'm also in there. You can tip me the wink. Mydlathron, I totally know what you're talking about. And commanded us to follow in their wake, lest some sign of their passing be left behind. Okay. To this end, many of my companions have gone forth to scout the lands. It is clear that Aragorn, son of Arathorn, journeys with the company still, for there has been little of note to see. They have lit few fires, for fear of the enemy, which is good. However, one of my scouts reports that he saw signs of an old campfire southeast of here. Okay, so seek out the camp and learn if any other sign has been left behind which may reveal the composition of the company. Which may reveal the composition of the company. Oh, so like the fact that there are... Oh, okay. The campsite lies far to the southeast. Okay, so that's actually like an interesting little piece right there, right? So notice the imaginative work that that they've done. Okay, it's time to get your game face on there, Griffith. No more Mr. Nice Burglar. Okay. Yeah. So notice the imaginative work that they've done there with this quest line, right? So we're in the books. We follow the company, right? And the ring goes south, and so they travel down through Eregion, try to cross the high pass, the Red Horn Pass, fail, and then they go on down through Moria, right? And we know they're being secret, and they're traveling by night, and they're worried when the Crabine fly overhead that they might be scouting out the land, and so that that there's all of these, but nothing is very clearly defined in that chapter, right? That chapter is still kind of mysterious. There's a lot of mysterious things that go on in that chapter, in the chapter The Ring Goes South, things that are never even really explained. One thing I would... Sorry, Griffith is getting distracted by a shiny object here. Anyway, so for instance, one thing, and in fact, did I answer? Okay, I'm having a little memory crisis, which happens to me fairly frequently. Josh Ramsey asked a lore question a while back about this, and I can't remember if I answered it or not. So just in case, I'm going to answer it again. You remember in that passage, in the Ring Goes South, as the company is heading southwards, there's that moment where something passes by overhead, right? And it sort of casts a shadow, it casts a chill over them. And they're like, maybe it was a wisp of cloud, right? And Aragorn says it was moving fast then and not with the wind, right? So it's, it seems to be Aragorn fairly gently saying, no, that was not a wisp of cloud, dumbo. So the question is, what is it? Right, so presumably, therefore, that was something that was searching for them. What was it? And I don't know what that was. And I don't think that we can assume that we know what that... So like, what are the candidates, right? Well, one obvious candidate, obviously, is a winged Nazgul, right? As we know that the Nazgul can fly when they have their mounted steeds, and I missed the thing. Yes, I did. Totally and completely missed the place that I'm going, and I'm drawing aggro from all these creatures because I'm answering questions while I'm trying to gallop around, and I should just get down and kill things instead of running away anymore. Oh, rockworm. Okay, come over here. Okay, so all right, so anyway, flying Nazgul, right? It could be a flying Nazgul. Are you attacking me, Mr. Tree? You totally are. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Though it makes me sad to fight Huorns, for reasons with which you are familiar. Never to be forgotten. Never forget the walking tree. But anyhow, so is that actually a Nazgul? I don't know if that's really a Nazgul. I don't... There are good reasons to think it's not a Nazgul that is finding them. For one thing, and the primary reason being that we're told that the Nazgul aren't crossing the river yet, right? I mean, what's his name? Grishnok, the orc, says, but the winged Nazgul, not yet, he says. He says that they're not going to cross the river yet. And the first time that a winged Nazgul is seen across the river is that right after the Palantir, when the one flies overhead and Gandalf is like, fly, right? So and they all start running away. Well, anyway, Gandalf runs away as fast as he can on Shadowfax with Pippin down into the south. Let not the swift wait for the slow, he says. So I don't think that can be a winged Nazgul. Gandalf seems to be taking it rather too calmly for it to be a ringwraith. And surely if the winged Nazgul had already come so far as Eregion by the time of, by that time, right after the Fellowship is left, there'd have been significantly more trouble, right? Presumably a Nazgul that's actually flying overhead would be, I don't know. It seems very unlikely that was a Nazgul under all the circumstances, which leaves the question, well then, what else could it be, right? And my answer is no idea. I have no idea what that thing was. And Tolkien doesn't tell us, right? We have no idea. Nor do I have any. Aha! There's a campsite. Here it is, right? Oh, see, the grass almost obscured it. What do we have? We have logs around a campfire and a pipeweed pouch. Okay. Excellent. So now notice the terms of the Notice the terms of the quest, though, right? It's not to, the idea was not to, the imperative was not to conceal that anyone had been this way, right? Not to conceal that anyone was traveling, but to conceal the composition. They want to make sure that nothing was revealed, nothing was left that would reveal the composition of the company, right? You sort of think why that is. Well, right, that's actually a really kind of clever thing, right? Because it's not that the idea that somebody passed this way is necessarily strange, especially in the game world. In Eregion, as Tolkien describes it in the book, you do get the sense that the place is completely desolate, so that if anyone were to be seen traveling in Eregion, it would be in itself a cause of suspicion, right? But in the game world, this is one of the continual challenges that they have, and I was talking actually with Chris Pearson and Jeff Libby about this yesterday. Actually, one of the challenges that they always have is populating the regions that Tolkien specifically says are not populated, right? Are empty. And of course, the thing that it's not so much fun gaming your way through a place which is just in fact empty and there's nothing to do there. So they always have to find some things and put some things there in order to make it fun and interesting. But anyway, so what they do is, usually say, well, okay, there's nobody that they met or nobody that they saw, right? So we have people here kind of, it's not that there are like large teeming cities here still in Eregion. It's just here, there's some sort of stray elvish companies hanging out based in the ruins here, right? Which they didn't visit the ruins, right? They didn't go near the ruins. So of course, walking through the main part of Eregion, they saw nobody. Anyway, so within the game world, the mere fact that there's somebody there and somebody traveling is not suspicious. So what would be suspicious? What is it? So you can see them kind of thinking through what exactly would they need to hide? What they would need to hide is that there are hobbits, because of course the enemy associates the ring with hobbits now, right? He knows that the ring is being carried by a hobbit. So the imperative thing becomes, don't let any servants of the enemy discover that a party of people that included hobbits came through this area, right? And that, I think, is a really, really clever piece of analysis.
What do you need?
Yeah, I found a pipeweed pouch. Yep. It may be that one of the halflings or the dwarf dropped this. It wasn't the dwarf, right? We know it's not the dwarf. Gimli anyway says that he lost his pipe in Moria. Maybe he lost his pouch here, but I doubt it. Okay. Yeah. Druid's Fire, I saw you. I saw you, Kiriana, back there. Okay. Right. Little time to lose. Go to Echad Eregion and speak with Golgallan. Warn him that there may yet be signs, right? Warn him that the company may have been sloppy, right? Yeah, hardly surprising given the composition of the party.
Well met.
All right, I can take an automatic horse now. All right. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. JJ48 car. I always have a hard time figuring out how to say people's usernames that have numbers in the middle of them. But anyway, the comment that you just made about smoking is actually another one of those excellent examples, right? Like the fat jokes and the way that smoking is discussed is another perfect illustration that kind of contextualizes the Lord of the Rings in its particular time, right? I'm not saying nobody would write a book in which people smoked nowadays, but it wouldn't be characterized quite like it was, right, in the Lord of the Rings. It's just nobody would think of it in exactly that same way anymore, which is kind of sad. I mean, I love the way that I'm not a big smoking fan myself. I don't smoke. I've never smoked, and I quite dislike the smell of smoke, and yet I love the idea of pipe smoking as it exists in the world of the Lord of the Rings, right? It's just a delightful thing as Tolkien imagines it as part of this story. But a modern writer, I think, would be hard-pressed to imagine it, to envision it, and to depict it in quite exactly the same way. But yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let me go back because I think there was another one. Yeah, the tree did want revenge, JJ. I think that's totally the case. Fairfennon, could you post it again? I've lost it. I saw that there was another one, but it seems to have washed downstream there. So, if you could repost that, I'd appreciate that. Meanwhile, let me make a quick announcement. So, during the marathon, of course, we did lots of fundraising. I gave an update on that last time. I wanted to give sort of a re-update about that because we have 2 events that are coming up that are a direct result of our fundraising. You know, we were trying to raise money to support Signum University and its programs for the coming year, of which this program is one, and we've been doing great. We've raised a lot. We've raised almost $25,000 now for the Signum University Annual Fund, which is fantastic. We raised over $7,700 specifically for our LOTRO appeal, which is awesome. And I made a series of promises when we were doing that fundraising. The first was if we raised $2,500 that I would do a special extra bonus stream of the instance of People's Choice. And the instance that was chosen when we blew past that goal in the first couple hours of the marathon was the Rift. So I've never run the Rift before. I'm going to be running the Rift in a live stream, and that's coming up soon. So that live stream is going to be next Tuesday evening at 8:30 p.m. So I'll be streaming 8:30 p.m. next Tuesday. We're gonna run the Rift, and it's gonna be awesome. So that's coming up very soon. The second goal was if we hit $5,000 that I would do a second marathon like the first marathon, except perhaps slightly less insane and with my different character. And that's going to be coming up a week from tomorrow, so next Saturday. A little bit more about that in a little bit. Meanwhile, here's Goldgallion. Goldgallon, sorry, not Galleon. Galleon was the name of the butler in Mirkwood. This is a different dude. If only these were new tidings. Alas, we ourselves have seen signs of the company's passing. So this is great, right? Because of course, here's everybody being really stealthy, right? But there's hobbits in the party, and you know, Merry, Pippin, Sam, they're just not super stealthy, right? So even though you've got experienced travelers and campaigners like Aragorn and Boromir and others, maybe Legolas. I don't know how much traveling he's really done. I mean, he's old, but he's not done all that much traveling. Anyway, point is, they're very experienced, and yet the hobbits along seem to be. Of course, my money's on Hobbit for leaving that tobacco pouch behind that we found. Okay, you fear they've already been discovered. Oh dear.
Greetings,
what can we do?
Will you lend me your ear?
I can lend you my ear, but I'll need it back. Our own scouts discovered another campsite to the east and somewhat north of here, just beyond Torek Bornagal and Torek Karangor. All right. We fear it, too, is a remnant of the company's passing. Go there and search for any items possibly left behind. It's clear that certain members of the company who shall remain nameless are not as careful as they should be. Yeah, it's almost like there's some people in the party who think that this is a hobbit walking party instead of a serious journey. Yes. Yeah, the same kind of carelessness or carefree attitude, which will lead Pippin to chuck the stone down the well at the Chamber of the Crossroads, is presumably leading them to be less than perfectly cautious in their camping. Okay. All right. I'm just going to jump over the wolf. That way he won't notice me. All right. So we're searching for this camp. You know, it's also if they hadn't left this big, huge quest ring right marking the spot, it would have been even harder to find, really. But that's all right. Okay. Oh, I'm in Badger Central, huh? Nice. All right, let's see. Is there a campsite up here? Look, a wild goat. Looks just like my pet goat. Under the... Oh, a shadow warg. More on shadow wargs later on. Oh, here we are. Another burnt out campfire with more logs sitting around it. Right. Now let's look where we are. So, where did the company come? The first spot was up in here, right? In Glad Ereg. And the second one is down here. So we can see where they're going, right? They came down this path, right? So they came down from the troll shell. They left Rivendell, came down through the troll shell. So they must have passed through the gorges down here instead of up here through, you know, what in the game is Giant's Valley, right? So they must have come down here, passed quite close to Gwingris, actually. Because remember, there are evidences of some ruins and things that they passed. And then they passed through Glad Ereg, and then they're coming down, of course, they headed over to the Redhorn Pass. So this is before they've turned to the south. This, of course, is the Burned Tor. This is the hill that they were up on top of when they were attacked by the wolves, and Gandalf set the hill on fire, right? So... hopefully we will get there. So all right, I'm following the path as the quest suggests I'm meant to do. Let's look at the campfire. The campsite has been disturbed, and it appears something was taken. From the signs you have found, it would appear the ransackers were either orcs or half-orcs. Tracks lead away to the south. Okay, we could follow the trail, or we could go all the way back to Ecataregion first. Let's do the inefficient thing. All right. Cool. Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry. Thanks, Fairvan. And I did almost forget, but I'm in transit now. So here we go. Okay. St. Joan asks, in Eregion and other areas, we encounter half orcs, half human, half orc. How did the half orcs come about? We totally don't really want to know the answer to that question. But it's a perfectly fair question. The half-orcs are all in the service of Saruman. I don't believe we ever in the game find a half-orc that is in the service of Mordor. And there's a very good reason for this. The intermingling of the races of orcs and men is an innovation of Saruman's, as far as we can tell. Treebeard suggests that it was Saruman who invented that. He tells us very little about it, but he calls it a black evil, which certainly, yes, it certainly was a black evil. We were just talking about this last week, I think it was, during the Silmarillion film project, where we're talking about the super secret necromantic orc project of the First Age. That is the original making of the orcs. And Tolkien doesn't say exactly how it came about. No, he doesn't say how it came about, nor does he actually use the... I almost just ran past Ecataregion there, didn't I? There it is. How about that? Okay. Anyway, so... okay, and there's Kiriana up on the hilltop there. So good to know my stealth healer has my back.
To you.
More on this in a second. Okay, it's worse than I thought. Whatever the enemy found may disclose who the members of the company are and put their quest in jeopardy. I know if they find out there are hobbits, we're all in trouble.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
I could spare several moments. Tracks southward, so I'll go all the way back and pick them up, shall I? Okay, fine. They clearly serve Saruman, obviously. I was just saying, the half-orcs obviously serve Saruman. You can kind of know that without even asking. And they're bearing their prize to Isengard. From what you say, they only have a single horse between them. Really? Did I notice that? How cunning of me. So it is likely a pack horse rather than a mount, so I can catch them, because I have a speedy pony. Fortunately, our scouts saw such a pair of half-orcs to the east and a little south. Okay, I gotta hurry. I gotta chase them. Okay. All right. I will chase them. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so half-orcs. Again, the most direct statement that we have about the Uruk-hai, about the half-orcs, is that these half-orcs and goblin men, as they are referred to, is Treebeard's statement where he says, he says, that Saruman has been doing something to them, right, to the orcs in his service, something dangerous, he says, and he wonders if he wonders what these orcs are. Are they men he has ruined? He asks. That is to say, so this is Treebeard speculating. Has Saruman basically invented an entirely, basically redone the whole orc process, right? If orcs are, as they are according to the published Silmarillion, elves who were captured and ruined, to use Treebeard's word, by Morgoth and corrupted and twisted and turned into orcs. If that's where orcs came from originally, Treebeard's first theory that he voices to Merry and Pippin is, did Saruman do the same thing with men, right? Did he take and ruin men and make a new species of orcs out of them? But then he suggests the other and even more horrible possibility. Hey, half-orc, did you find anything at a... Do you have a mohawk? No. Just kind of going gray around the sides there? You wearing something on your head? No, you're just kind of graying at the temples, huh? That's kind of interesting, actually. Hang on, don't move. Yeah, I mean, you're ugly, right? And I don't just mean that as an insult. It's just an observation. But yeah, you're like going all gray at the temples there, huh? I mean, that's interesting to me, right? I mean, most orcs don't die of old age, and I mean, as far as we can tell, and that's so yeah, a half orc with gray hair. Cool. All right, okay, Thluk. I'm too late. My companion is already headed south with our prize. Oh dear, he's taking it to Sharky. He will need to find that precious thing he seeks. That's actually a significant amount of information for Thluk the half-orc to know. All right, well, let's do this thing, Thluk. I am totally going to stop you. I think you're wrong about that. Oop. I love it when that happens. When I get stunned and then he just bleeds to death while I'm stunned. That's kind of fun. Okay. All right. So I've got to go back to Golgallan and tell him that why can't I just continue on south after the other guy? I mean, I know. Okay. This is inefficient, Golgallan. I could have figured this out myself, but that's all right. That'll give me more time to talk about half-orcs. So, again, Treebeard's theory number one, they're just orcs 2.0, right? Or like it's just completely a parallel development of orcs, except this time based on humans, and sort of improved, again, like orcs 2.0. But then he suggests the other alternative, or has he mingled the races of orcs and men? And Treebeard doesn't say anything about the mechanism, right? He just says that would be a black evil. Yes, it would be a black evil. The only way that I can understand that happening is by sexual reproduction. I mean, the image, it's really interesting actually to me how Peter Jackson tried to kind of dodge this in the film, right? By having the Uruk-hai coming out of those like pods, right? As if he just sort of, grew them, or as if like Uruk-hai budded in some way from, like he grew them from spores or something. I don't know what we're supposed to understand that he did to develop the orcs. It certainly does succeed in giving them a sort of a more of a laboratory feel, right? You get the very clear idea from the films that this is a result of Saruman's experimentation, right? And he is doing experimentation in the books as well, though it's more of a eugenics kind of thing. Okay, yeah. Perhaps there's yet time. And there would have been even more time had I just gone straight there. But that's all right. It's fine. I think these pants are going to be way inferior to my current pants, but that's all right.
Will you stay a moment?
Okay. Your return here is all that may stand in the way of success, not apart from the fact that it may have hampered it, but that's okay. The remaining half-orc will ride hard for Isengard, but that will hinder him more than aid him. He will be forced to stop the sooner to rest his mount, unlike me, whose mount can go hundreds of miles at a gallop, as we've seen many a time. Okay, from what I tell you, you'd guess he was making for the Dunlending camp south of Porth Cadlus. Really? Okay, south of the Siranan, the gate stream that flows by the west gate of Moria. Sure. The encampment lies to the southeast of here, but you would look first along the northern banks of the Siranan. Okay, right, all right. I'm off. I'm off. Hey, let's do this
What do you need?
A ride. That's why I talked to you. Okay. So as I say, the films do create that sense that Saruman is experimenting, right? That half-orcs, it clearly conveys that half-orcs come from his research and development department, and that's good. And he doesn't want to depict like the horrific rape of captive women by orcs, for instance, which is also probably good for his PG-13 rating. But honestly, that's what I think that Tolkien is implying. I don't know of any other way to mingle the two races other than by interbreeding. And I can't imagine that any voluntary, totally mutual and voluntary interbreeding was going. I don't think we're, behind the Uruk-hai lies like the Beren and Luthien story of the orcs, right, and humans. It's clearly not the case, I think. And so therefore, if I am compelled to imagine it, which I don't especially like doing, the thing that I think must have happened is that there must have been captive Rohirric women who were taken into Isengard and raped by orcs in order to produce half-orc children. I do believe that that's what Tolkien is implying, but he doesn't ever get within 10 miles of actually stating that. Again, we get nothing more than Treebeard's very strong but somewhat cryptic condemnation that would be a black evil, and we certainly can agree, I think, with Treebeard that is indeed a very black evil. But this is why, and as far as I've seen in the game, they're extremely consistent with this. Half-orcs are only in the service of Saruman. That is one of the things that Saruman accomplished, if you want to consider that an accomplishment. And one of the advantages that he has, in fact, given himself over Sauron, though, of course, it doesn't end up coming to much. All right. I think we're almost there. Looking for any half-orcs. Because here's the bed of the Siranan, right, with which Grifflet is familiar, because he's picked up sharp stones and sticks out of it. Did we miss it? I think we did. Quickly find the thief. Oh, I've got... quickly, I still have 27 minutes. I like my chances. Okay. So that's where half-orcs come from. I think I saw something in the Twitch chat here a few minutes ago where someone was asking about half trolls. I just missed him again. Where is he? Oh, there he is. He didn't. I was looking for a quest ring, which he doesn't have. Okay. Let me see if I can fight him and talk about half trolls at the same time. Hey, you don't have time for. I have time for you. Okay. As far as I know, half trolls aren't a thing. Actually, I don't. There's no evidence that there are half trolls in Middle Earth. If you remember, that phrase does occur in The Lord of the Rings, but if you remember when it does occur, it occurs as a simile. That is, he's describing some of these strange and fierce men from the south, and he says they are like half trolls, right? So he's describing the strange and to the hobbits and to the Gondorians monstrous appearance of these Southrons, and he compares them to half trolls. So there are no actual. We don't get any evidence of the interbreeding of trolls with humans or anything else. So just to clear that up. So okay, we're almost gonna take another. Well, not a swift horse, a slow horse back. As we found a pot. And this is a sad thing, because this leads me to suspect, of course, that this was one of Sam's cooking pots. But I can't believe it was one of Sam's pans, because those were far too precious to him, and he would not have just left one behind. So it must have been somebody else's cooking utensil that was left behind. All right. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Morik, no, the half-orcs are not a pretty sight. It doesn't really bear thinking about. And again, it's one of the reasons why, and again, this is actually the context in which it came up at the Silmarillion Film Project last week. Tolkien doesn't shy away from horrific things, right? Horrific things happen in his stories and in the world around his story, even when he doesn't describe them. He doesn't linger on them. He doesn't take or suggest any real pleasure in them. But he doesn't shy away from truly horrific stuff. But he does allow you not to, he doesn't sort of rub it in your face. He allows you not to think about it if you would like to not think about it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I see Jesse is shocked that I just rode past an indigo plant. I did. Yeah, I did. I have to admit, I have never on purpose that I know of collected crafting dye ingredients, right? Because I've used some dyes at times, but whenever Wiggin, my primary character, my primary alt is a scholar, and I have made dyes before, but the ingredients for dyes are so hard to find. I've never even tried to go out and hunt for and deliberately collect the ingredients for dyes. So I just ignore them. I don't even bother. If I need a dye, I just buy it at the auction house. Basically, that's how I've done things. Have to confess. But anyway, yeah. That's I sort of compulsively collect all the other crafting ingredients, and I've finally taken the step, by the way, where I actually, am I going the right place? Still, yeah, I'm almost there. Where I now can craft my own legendary items and do that routinely. So that's been fun. I've finally gotten I've got my tailor and my woodworker and my jeweler high enough up in the ranks of their guilds in order to make good legendaries. But yeah, dyes. Yeah, no, life is too short. At least my gaming life is too short. Okay. Yeah, there was a pot. We were fortunate it was something so common and unremarkable. Yeah, it is kind of funny now looking back on it that we were worried the treasure that they were bringing back to their master was going to be a cooking pot, which wouldn't really have told him much of anything. The pouch of pipeweed, ironically, would have, right? Had he found a pouch of pipeweed, Saruman, would have immediately suspected that they were hobbits, because, of course, he knows all about pipeweed. But the cooking pot, probably not so much. All right. Oh, yeah, sorry. A ring. Yeah, probably not. That's fine.
Greetings, friend. Will you lend me your ear?
Okay. You're fortunate all they left behind was a cooking pot, but I fear for the carelessness of the halflings. I object. You can't prove it was the halflings. You're not sure that they understand fully that their quest is not a mere stroll in the wilderness. Yeah, there is a certain amount of evidence to support that fear. Nevertheless, it's our lot to make sure the enemy does not learn more of the company or its quest. To this end, all right, you want me to go back to where I just came from. Okay, that's fine. What else left behind? Yeah, let's continue the work of picking up after the hobbits. Yeah, that's I think that's again, I find this whole quest chain a really interesting example of the kind of thinking around the corners, sort of thinking around the primary plot that they do so well in LOTRO. Imagining, because the company wasn't alone, right? We know that, we're already told that those who are the enemies of Sauron are going to be on the watch and ready to help those who are in the know. So the idea that there are friends of Rivendell, around in this area who are trying to do what they can to assist, and to help to cover the tracks of the company and make sure that they're not detected, it makes perfect sense, right? That's sort of just what we might expect. And the way that they're, as usual, the way that they pick up on small references and lines in the book and develop those into whole quest chains, right? That reference to, this is not a hobbit walking party, crack that Gandalf makes at one point. Really neat. Okay. Good. Yeah, JJ, Saruman did take up the habit of smoking pipeweed. Yeah, he did keep it for himself, as in fact they suspected, that is the hobbits conclude, that there wasn't any pipeweed among the stores of the guards at the gates. The guards at the gates had, according to Merry and Pippin, received excellent supplies, right? They had all of the best there, and from this they conclude that they were privileged servants, which doubtless they were. But they didn't have pipeweed, right? Saruman kept that dainty to himself, to use their words. And that seems to be the case. This is one of those things, one of the several things. It might not seem like a thing big enough for Tolkien to revisit, but he did. In Unfinished Tales, you can read more about this. The relationship between Saruman and pipeweed is actually something that Tolkien did a good deal of more thinking about and kind of fleshed out later on. And you can read about that in one of the sort of essays or collections of stories and writings that Christopher Tolkien published in Unfinished Tales. That Saruman did it in deliberate imitation of Gandalf, and he kept it a secret for two reasons. First, because he didn't want Gandalf to know that he was taking an interest himself in halflings, but also because he was embarrassed, because he had been making fun of Gandalf. Gandalf was smoking at one of the meetings of the White Council, and Saruman had been criticizing him for it. And the terms on which he teases him or mocks him at the council, because of course Gandalf is known for his magics with fires and smokes, and so Saruman basically accuses Gandalf of just being frivolous, right? Like, why are you playing with smoke? we're trying to have a serious conversation here. And Gandalf sort of defends it and says, it helps him to think. So Saruman is like on the record of mocking Gandalf for smoking. So one of his primary motivations for making sure that Gandalf doesn't discover that he himself has taken up smoking is because he had been mocking Gandalf for that. And of course, because it would suggest that he was investigating the Shire himself. All right. I, in fact, am interested in this quest. Okay, many of the elves of Echad Dunan have seen a pony wandering among the hills. It seems an odd place for such a beast, and a wonder that it survived with such great peril close at hand. I know, how could it possibly survive? A random pony wandering around here, right outside the west gate of Moria. I went myself in search of the pony, and when I caught sight of it, I immediately recognized the animal. It was the pony that the halfling Samwise Gamgee had kept stabled in Imwindris. Oh my goodness! Bill the pony! He had a wild look and had no bit or bridle. The pony was quite wary, but seemed in good health. I last saw him beyond the hills, west of Echad Dunan in Torek Endraug. Go and see if I can bring the pony back. All right. By all means, let's go find Bill the pony. I love this quest. And again, this is just a wonderful example of a different kind of sort of filling in the corners quest that LOTRO does, right? Anytime that there is sort of some interesting storyline or something involving one of the main characters or something like that happens off screen, right? That happens off stage. Okay, yeah, this is what I want here. They take up that opportunity, right? So we know that when the company got to the West Gate, they were forced to leave Bill behind, right? And Sam was really mad. I won't have it, and that's flat, he says. But of course, as Gandalf says, sort of harshly but accurately, he has to choose. Sam has to choose between his master, between following Frodo and the pony and keeping Bill the pony safe. Remember that Gandalf puts words of guiding and of guarding over Bill the pony, and says that he has quite as much of a chance of escaping the wolves as they, the company, do. So is it a wonder that he got through all these wolves and stuff? Yes, exactly. But he had some help. I loved Bill's title, Noble Steed. Bill is indeed a noble steed. Look, it's Bill the pony. What's on Bill's saddle blanket, I wonder? Let's see. Is it? Maybe it's just is it like a leaf design? Yeah, those look like sort of. Ha! Yeah, they look like kind of like ferns. Don't those look like ferns to you? Those look like ferns to me. And these are what, like leaping deer in the woods? So this is like the Chetwood. And that looks like a leaping deer too, right? And ferns? I'm going to say they're ferns. They could be vines, but I like to think that they're ferns. That would be funny. Anyway, noble steed. Okay. People teasing me about the upholstery. A horse blanket isn't exactly upholstery. Hey, Bill. Okay, confession time. I did, in fact, name my car Bill. After Bill the pony. Bought this car. My car that I have now had for 13 years, and I've driven it for over 230,000 miles, and I named it Bill the Pony. I got it when I was commuting down between Delaware and Maryland, so I was, having to go there and back again every single day, so I named my car Bill. All right, I've found Bill, the loyal little steed of Sam Gamgee. Doesn't look that little to me from where I'm standing, but then again, I'm short. Bill looks like he's in a bit of a tight spot in this warg-infested area. Right. Okay, his mane looks unkempt. And he has a wild look in his eyes, but otherwise he appears unharmed. When I try to lead him away, he's hesitant to follow me, but almost as if he is waiting for something or someone. Oh, he's waiting for Sam. It's all right, Bill. You'll find Sam again eventually. Okay. Okay. No. Bill. My car is a Toyota Corolla. See, I was tempted to name my car after Aragorn's horse, but then it's a Toyota Corolla, right? It's like a Toyota Corolla. It cannot be like, the faithful steed of a Dunedain, but Bill the Pony fit. All right. Oh, fortunately, Bill brought his reins, so that's good. Ally of Grifflet. Oh, I love it. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Find Bill's tracks and find the wargs that may hunt him. Okay. All right. Let's see. I got to scout the way for Bill the Pony. All right. I got to clear the wargs out here. Okay. By the way, haven't you always and Jesse, no, remember Bill doesn't go back to Rivendell, which is where you might sort of expect to find him. He went back to Bree. Actually, he went all the way back home. Butterbur returns him to Sam when they get back to Bree, much, of course, to Sam's delight. You coming, Bill? What do I have to call you? No? All right. I just have to scout. All right, I'll keep scouting, Bill. You stay put. The predators approach. What interests me about Bill? I mean, lots of things interest me about Bill. He's one of the great unsung characters of the book. But what interests me is his name. That is, like, not that his name is particularly, wonderful or marvelous, but unexpected. I'm just following his. Oh, I'm following his back trail. I see. Okay, I'm following his back trail in order to find the wargs that are stalking him. So I'm trying to ignore, I guess, all the other wolves and wargs that are around here. But it's all good. It's all good. Anyway, okay, so yeah, but again, his name. Now, it might not seem, as I said, like a particularly strange or odd name, but it is because he's purchased from Bill Ferny, right? So it is as if Sam names him after Bill Ferny, but that's what's surprising, right? As Sam obviously despises Bill Ferny, very rightly, for how he treated the pony, right? I mean, think of the several comments about that, right? Think about how Sam throws the apple at Bill Ferny's face. And I always love how totally unapologetic Sam is about that later on, right? When they return to Bree, right, and they find that Bill Ferny's house is all derelict, right, and it's all overgrown and clearly nobody lives there anymore. And is it Mary, I think, who says to Sam, like, do you think you killed him with that apple, Sam? And he says, no, it's Pippin. And Sam says, I'm not so hopeful, Mr. Pippin. Right? I just love that he totally, he's not at all concerned about the possibility that he killed Bill Ferny. And then, of course, the last time we see Bill Ferny, when they find Bill Ferny at the gate, let's see, looking for Bill's grazing spot, which is somewhere around here. There it is. Is this a statue? It is. Whose statue is here in the middle of nowhere? Who is that? Dude with no arm? Shield and no arm? Is that the shield that... Is this that statue that we were suspecting was Círdan? No. Is this guy even bearded? Hang on. No, that guy doesn't even have a beard. Can't be Círdan. Who's that? Oh, it's hard because he doesn't have his left arm, which would presumably show. But the fact that he's holding his shield in his right arm and probably a weapon in his left hand is interesting. Yeah, no. Of course, my first thought, I'm like, wait, maybe it's Mithros. That would be cool, an Easter egg. You read the guy who got his hand cut off, but it can't be. It was his right hand that was cut off, not his left hand. So presumably it is only the statue and not the model that lost a hand. Okay, that would be awesome though, wouldn't it? Anyway, so yeah, so why does Sam name the pony after Bill, right? It's kind of a puzzle. I like the theory. Diffith says maybe a self-reminder to Sam to treat the pony extra nicely because of his former master. Yeah, maybe. I could kind of see that. But it's still, I would kind of think, I would sort of assume that Sam would want to sort of differentiate him, but maybe just the idea of, a beast taking the name of its master is just sort of too deeply ingrained, or Sam just still kind of respects where he came from in a sense, even though he's liberating him from that. Oh, I was just referring to, of course, Sam's final comment when they meet Bill Ferny for the last time at the gate, at the gate, at the bridge, the Brandywine Bridge, and as Bill Ferny is running away, Bill the pony kicks him as he goes by, and Sam says, "Neat work, Bill," right? Meaning the pony. The narrator has to specify because, of course, there are two Bills in the scene. Anyway, I'm not sure I have a really satisfying answer to the question, really. Okay, Holly Wizard. All right, Bill. All right, here we are, Bill. You should be safe from here. So just see, there's the path, right? To go there, take a right, and carry on until you get to Bree. I've made it to the road with Bill, and he seems to have the willpower to leave the gates of Moria behind now. I love the willpower. So we have the game is asking us to envision a conflict within Bill. He doesn't want to leave Sam either, right? Love it. A stout little pony who will get where he needs to go without further nudging from you, but I did well to coax him out of dangerous territory. Awesome. Move along, Bill. See you next at the Prancing Pony. That was awesome. Okay. JJ, no, we don't know Bill Ferny's ultimate state. He runs off. Unless Bill managed to kill him with his kick as he went by, which it doesn't sound like. That is, it sounds like Bill Ferny still cries out and goes off, like Bill tagged him, but he didn't kill him, it seems. So no, he's not heard from again. We don't know the end of Bill Ferny's story, which means, by the way, when LOTRO gets to the Scouring of the Shire, which I'm pretty convinced it's going to do, when we get to the Scouring of the Shire, look for that. There's like a 95% chance that we're going to get a quest line which is going to follow the ultimate fate of Bill Ferny, because it's not in the book, right? We know that he runs off and we never hear from him again. That is classic LOTRO quest line territory right there, right? All right. Yeah. Rescued Bill. No doubt he is heading for a familiar land. Yeah. He has more sense than many beasts. He sure does. Oh, sorry about that. All right. Okay. Anyway, back to the other guy I meant to come down here to talk to. Yeah, so there was a cooking pot, but I recovered it.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
Okay, you've sent out scouts to determine what path the company may have followed in order to cross Hithyglir, the Misty Mountains. If what you say is true, the campsites you found, there may be other signs. Right. There are only 3 paths that seem reasonable for their passage across the mountains: through the pass of the Redhorn Gate, south through the Gap of Rohan, or beneath the mountains through the halls of Moria. Speak with our scouts, Ruithriel and Limlyre, and learn if they have noted aught of the company's passing. Ruithriel is encamped near a place to the northwest. Okay, for some, which we are calling the Burnt Tor, for something has scorched the earth here. Yes, the very recently named Burnt Tor. Limlyre may be found along the road. Okay, all right, let's go. Let's go talk to what's his face, Ruithriel. Okay, I think that's the Burnt Tor right there. Right, we can see it in the distance there. A tor, of course, this is not a word we use in America very much. We don't really have tors in America. More's the pity. There it is, the Burnt Tor. A tor is just a really, really tall hill. Usually sort of a tall hill that stands in isolation, kind of rising out of the, sort of plains around it very abruptly. It's a tor. There's a lot of really cool sort of landscape feature names like that we don't really use in America. All right. Hey, Ruithriel.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
Good to see a friendly face. Yep. Like that. Be right back, Ruithriel. Are you going to help me with it? No, you're just not, right? You're going to stand there and watch me die? Or kneel there? Okay. Let me just take care of these. I'll be right back with you, Ruithriel. You're going to want me to scout? Can I go up on the Burnt Tor? I'd really like to do that. I want to investigate what burned it. No, I'm not trying to use the stupid campfire. Okay. All right. Rinaldor has sent aid as I had hoped. That's right. I'm here to aid you. Carothros is troubled. Something has caused great unease upon his slopes. His winds are cold and biting, and I fear for any who have dared to tread upon him when he is in such a fey mood. Oh, now that's an interesting idea. Carothros being in a fey mood. Huh. I'll have to think about that one. I cannot leave my post, but perhaps you, because fey, of course, is a Tolkien word, right? Classic Tolkien word. Really interesting one, and a particularly intriguing one in that context. I cannot leave my post, but perhaps you could travel to the mountain's lower slopes and look for signs of the company. No, I want to go to the Burnt Tor. Okay. Travel northeast to the Redhorn Gate and look for any signs of them where the trees and snows meet. Okay. All right. I'll come back to the Burnt Tor, though. One way or another, I'm totally going up on the Burnt Tor. But let's see. First things first. Okay. Off we head towards the path of Carothros. So Fae, right? Yeah, so right, attributing personality to a mountain. Yeah. Yeah, so okay. You're right that when people attribute that people in the real world attribute human attributes to mountains, that's like a thing that people do. But of course, when we're doing that with Karathras, we seem to mean something quite a bit more than that. The personification of Karathras in the book is quite persistent, and the way they talk about it suggests that they really believe that Karathras has an actual awareness. I do not believe that they are speaking metaphor. When Gimli says things like, he has yet more snow to hurl at us, that he's just being metaphorical, right? And in the anthropomorphism, of his description of Karathras, I don't think so. He seems to actually really mean it. That there is some kind of awareness, some kind of consciousness that Karathras has, that the mountain does seem to have an awareness, it seems to have agency, and it seems to have the power to do things. Who is that, and how does that work? No idea. It's never explained. Okay, we're headed up. So where are we now? We're up here at the Red Horn Pass. Let's look back. We're getting pretty high up. Can't really tell because of the grass in my face. But all right. Okay, it's the Red Horn Pass. This, of course, is the primary way. When... I have to do it from here. An avalanche blocks the way. I can see the avalanche from here? That's all I have to do? Just look up and say, hey, look, avalanche, or, foliage, as the case may be. So was that the avalanche up there? So I can see, what's that? Is that a house? Somebody build a house? Or is that another mountain? And a wisp of cloud. Maybe it's just a wisp of cloud. Probably just a wisp of cloud, yeah. All right. Okay, back to Ruith Riel then. I came, I looked, I saw, I left, basically. That's fine. I could go further up and end up fighting Frost Grims, but... Okay. Mountain, Karathras, agency. Yeah, so, what is that is never fully explained. Can we understand that? Yeah, I think there are a couple ways that we can understand this. We have a couple sort of indicators that, or not indicators, a couple hooks that Tolkien kind of gives us. We have a couple examples of spirits that dwell in particular places. For instance, Goldberry's mom, right? Apparently the river, which I take to be the Withywindle, as it's the only river that goes through the Old Forest, the River Withywindle, it not only has Old Man Willow, right, with his who is a mighty singer, weaving his songs, but the river itself has a spirit associated with it, right? Goldberry's mom. We don't know what she's like exactly, right? What kind of characteristics, what kind of spirit, to use that word in a, confusingly in a different sense, she gives to the area, that she gives to the river, and how she contributes to the spirit of the Old Forest. But anyway, we know that she's there. Karathras, therefore, would sort of seem to be the same kind of thing, generally, as Goldberry's mom, right? That same kind of spirit. There's some sentient awareness that somehow lives there, is associated with the mountain, right? At least that's what I think we're led to understand. I can't really understand the references that they make in any other way. We never learn more about it, which is true of so many things in Tolkien, right? There are a lot of things that he left unexplained, and that seems to be one of them. But I think we can understand that. Hey, Ruithriel. Yeah, there was an avalanche. Right. Yeah, boy, it would be awful if they were on the mountain when it happened. If they did brave the past, no enemies will follow now, right? So the news is either horrible or good, right? And she's wrong on both accounts, right? Actually, didn't happen either way. Oh, yeah. So right. Can I go up to the? All right, hang on. I'll go back to the camp. I'll be good. I'm gonna come to the burnt Torah one way or another, but there's a quest I can get to go up there, and I think I gotta go talk to Limlyre first, so I'll do that. I'm trying to do that without alerting every single wolf in the area that I'm passing by here. All right, where's that path up to the plateau? Oh, it's over there. Okay, it's fine. Okay. All right. You guys are discussing the extremely bad Swedish translation of The Lord of the Rings. That's funny. I don't know anything about the extremely bad translation, the Swedish translation of The Lord of the Rings, but it doesn't. It does not surprise me to find. Of course, I knew that there was a Swedish translation, and it does not shock me to discover that it's horrible. Yeah. Cool. So let me tell you guys a little bit more about the next upcoming event. So I told you Tuesday night, this coming Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. We're going to be streaming. Now, I think that's going to be happening on the Signum University channel, Twitch channel. Oh, that's just not the right guy. That's a wolf. I think it's going to be happening on the Signum University channel. So you can look for us there. But anyway, so we'll be streaming our Rift run. Next Saturday will be the second marathon, but unlike the Grifflet Marathon, this one will be with Wigand, my guardian.
Will you lend me your ear?
Sure, Limlyre. Yeah, sent by Rinaldor. Yeah, you've been tasked with searching the southern borders of this land for signs of the company's passing, but as yet I have found nothing. Oh, good. I'm glad we've stopped dropping trinkets. Rinaldor believes that they may have passed this way, though any traveling near Nankuranir would need to be wary. Right? Yeah, you'd think. I bid you travel southwest and aid me in my search. You will find a tower facing toward the Gap of Rohan. Look out from that hill and report anything you find. Okay. Find the tower on the hill. Which tower on which hill? Down that way? All right, we can do this. All right, let's go over here. Notice, by the way, how the elves here know about the company, right? They seem to know the quest of the company. They certainly know how important the quest of the company is. But they don't know anything about what the actual plans were, right? They're kind of on a need-to-know basis about all this. So it's interesting to see what knowledge was given to them, in the book, or in the game here, but what was not given to them. I don't see any sign of the company. I do, however, see the sign of a Dunlending who's trying to rip out my spleen. So let's not allow that. We take exception to that kind of behavior. So Wigand, as I said, the next marathon is going to be with Wigand instead of Grifflet. And for those of you who don't know my guardian Wigand, the main thing there, the main difference between a Grifflet stream and a Wigand stream, with Grifflet, I've generally been questing to places where I've been, so I'm a little bit more controlled. Like I know where I'm going. I sort of have a plan for what I want to do, and I've generally been there before. And I'm really looking forward to kind of going through it and seeing it together. With Wigand is my highest level character, and so when I'm questing with him, I'm doing things, completing quests, and visiting places I've never seen at all before in game. And so it's a complete exploration. I never know what I'm doing or where I'm going, and if you want to see me discover things like Rohan, for instance, and the Brownlands, for the first time ever, me to see them for the first time, then join the Wigan Marathon. That's what when I stream Wigan, that's what it's always about. Me discovering new frontiers. So if you want to see my first reaction to stuff, that's what I do with Wigan.
My hearts cannot sing today.
No, I didn't find anything. Yeah, no, Mithrandir would not be so foolish. Yeah, exactly. The company did not come this way. Absolutely not. Okay, so they didn't go through the south of Rohan, and they didn't, well, or maybe didn't make it anyway through the pass. So let's see. How many did I get? Okay, no, I didn't get reputation. Or did I complete quest? Did I open swift travel? That would have been nice. Would have been nice at the beginning, frankly. All right. So anyway, yeah. So the Wigan stream, it's going to start at noon on Saturday. And I'm planning to go most of the day. I'll probably go until about 8 p.m. Unlike Grifflet, where I had my target, I was determined to get to Dimril Dale no matter how long it took, and it ended up taking, of course, 14 hours. I'm not going to be quite so dogged this time because I don't know where I'm going with Wigand. It's easier to be a little bit more open-ended and to end when I choose to. So I think I'm going to plan to do about 8 hours. I'm going to do the Brownlands. I'm going to go into Rohan. I'm going to get my War Steed. And after I get my War Steed, I think some of Wigan's friends are going to take him warbanding. I don't even know what that is, but we're going to do it. So, and I'm looking forward to this. And I think I'm going to be pretty funny on a War Steed, I kind of suspect. All right.
What do you need?
They tried the Red Horn Gate, but was foiled by Carothras itself. Yeah, it's a good deduction there. So there's one path left. Yeah, the dark secret way. Okay. They have surely passed into the long dark of Moria. I too suspect that, seeing as I also have just come from there. But that's cool. May the Valar guide their steps, for it is said Durin's Bane dwells there still. He did when they went there. Absolutely. Okay, here then is the last task appointed to us. We must confuse their trail so that the enemy cannot be prepared for their passage. We must confuse their trail. Okay, so we were covering it up before, and now we're just trying to lay false trails. Okay. Yeah, no, I know just where they are. So I'm going to go back to Ruith Riel at the Burn Tor. Let's see, what time is it? How are we doing? Okay, actually, I probably should stop here, actually. We're running out of time. We'll get back to the Burnt. We'll start at the Burnt Tor next time. Almost done here, following in the path of the quest of the Fellowship. We need to finish obscuring the trail of the Fellowship for next time. Visit the Burnt Tor, and then we'll head back into Moria next time. Look at that, Griffith got most of the way up to level 56. So how about that? Excellent. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining me again. So don't forget this coming Tuesday, which is what's Tuesday? That would be the 18th, Tuesday the 18th of October at 8:30 p.m. I'm going to be streaming the Rift. I'm going to be running the Rift. We'll do some lore talk about the Rift, which I think is kind of an interesting concept, and then we'll talk about we'll actually do the raid. And then next Saturday, then I'll have Griffith will be here as usual next week. And then after that, next Saturday, the 22nd of October, will be the Wigand Marathon starting at noon and going until 8 p.m. So that will be a lot of fun. And as I said, the discussion between me and the Maid of Lions and Chris Pearson, who also showed up for the first half, is going to be up on our YouTube channel. So if you go to Signum University on YouTube, go to our channel, subscribe to our channel, and you'll get our updates for when that and other videos are posted. So thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys around soon. Bye now.